are all teachers. There's a new school and an old school of teaching. What are the differences? And how are you taking the differences into what you're doing on lessons of the day? Jason?
Yeah, I think, old school teaching, there's a lot of, it goes back to misconceptions, shift your weight, turn your shoulders a lot, turn your hips in the downswing. There's a lot of stuff.
Roll your hands over.
Yeah, roll your hands over. Right.
Well, that makes the ball drop.
Exactly. I think it.
A lot, actually.
Friend of family.
Yeah, please. Yeah, there you go. So, yeah, I think it goes back to.
Just open up the floodgates.
He's back. Yeah, speaking of that, it goes back to understanding ball flight. Understanding deep plane. Understanding the face is really the condition that starts the ball on its path. The face away from that is really what causes the curve, because a lot of people get those things backwards. So everybody's trying to swing down the line, flip your hands over, and that just doesn't work. It's not going to be. So I think more new school is, all right, let's stay a little more centered. Let's teach people to be a little more dynamic in their pivot. Let's teach people how to use their hands and arms properly. It's where the face and the go. And then here play with ball. What do you guys think?
I mean, you could describe, stack and tell always comes up in conversation, right? We could describe stack and tell as a new style of teaching. Really not. It's a lot of pieces that have just been well explained and put together, I believe. I have to tell you, the success I've had with my students by using a lot of their classifications has been nothing short of remarkable.
Go to
last few months, beautiful ball flight, beautiful low point, which creates that ball flight, and people just hitting it way more solid. And actually it's an easier move for them to make, in my opinion.
To control low point.
Yeah.
It's one of the essentials of being able to control the ball flight. You're not going to control that ball. Control ball flight. The bottom of the arc is behind the ball. It's got to be out.
My questioning is what's really changed though? Is it really just a terminology that's changing?
Language,
Yeah,
the way it's being explained is clearer.
People have hit like that since the beginning of golf.
Absolutely.
Right? It just hasn't been explained in this way. I think it's just been simplified a little. I'm not a stack and tilt teacher, but there's no doubt that I'll implement certain fundamentals of it, because it seems like every good golfer, except for some of the exceptions, really do fall into that I guess the parameters.
And I think all of us as coaches are taking a different approach now to presenting the information in our programs. So my programs are monthly programs now. There's no more three packs. There's no more 5 packs. There's more single lessons for me. We're all sort of adopting, I think I speak for all of us.
Absolutely. More coaching, less teaching.
Well, that's what I was going to say. The key word there is we're coaches.
Supervised practices.
Yeah.
Not teachers.
Another practice article that I just finished is all of them are coming out in my Public Corporation magazine.
Like it's Shane's
in the spring and summer. Is that now you throw me off my is that we do
The practice article.
Yeah, it's a practice article. I got it right here. Let's read it.
We don't have time for that, man.
You want to hold it up? I'll hold it up.
He's taking over already. Here we go.
All right, there we go.
Now
you're throwing me off. I'll have to find it. So,
But essentially structured practice, right? Supervised practice.
Yeah, that's where I
the
was
old
going.
school,
Thank you.
the teachers said, okay, here's what I want you to do. I need you to go beat 500 balls and then come back and see me next week. I think we're moving away from that.
Right there.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
Oh my gosh, here we go.
Hold on, what did I say here?
Verbatim.
No, I just, I wanted to make sure that I give you the right quote. Yeah, exactly what you just said, misconception that hitting balls for 1 hour and putting for 15 minutes.
Yep.
Right. Practice.
Practice with purpose, I think, is a good way to think about it.
Yeah, and Dennis gave you one.
That I find rather odd. I mean, I ended up playing professional soccer. I played a lot of sports growing up. I mean, I don't have any kids, but I'm sure a lot of you do. How many of you guys drop off your kids for an hour lesson and then leave? How many times? What is it? It's practice. Every professional athlete in every sport doesn't really get lessons. They get coaching. They practice with their coach. coaching.
Exactly.
So they can make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do. In golf, it's take an hour golf lesson. Yeah, you can change a golf swing, but is it going to stick? The sticking aspect is making sure that you practice properly. And if you're not practicing properly, it's not going to matter. You're going to come back and it's going to be almost the same thing we were doing before. So that structured practice, that organized practice, gives a little bit more guidance. Kind of like how we all learn how to play our other sports and how our shoes.
What's the biggest question we get is how do I get it from the range to the
Right.
golf course?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the missing link right there, to be able to do some practice on the golf course, but also simulating practice on the range
Yeah.
of what you're gonna
It's not
face
that
on the
break
court.
and hit.
Would you call that the difference between coaching and training? Because practicing and training are two different things.
Yeah.
So how do you differentiate the two? Because it sounds like practice, you can practice things, motor skills, or whatever.
Like skill acquisition.
To train under duress or pressure.
But the coaching thing is like you're going to use one word for people, coaching.
Yeah.
If you look at football players, they practice and they also train. But still, coaching.
Right.
I think there's two types there. You've got to build your skills, which is sort of, very conscious. You're out there working on changes. But then you got to be able to transfer that into some unconscious training, which is, hey, let's get you on the golf course, let's test it, right? And the swing change is not a swing change unless it holds up under pressure.
And you mentioned soccer, and I mentioned soccer in the article. Is that when was the last time that you took your junior or your kid to soccer practice or hockey practice? Well, I'm trying to be devil's advocate here as a parent. Well, I take them 3 times a week. When was the last time you went to golf practice on your own? Well, I never had golf practice. So, I mean, it speaks right there. You go to practice hockey 3 times a week and soccer twice a week and have a game. Kids, we're talking juniors, but we don't actually apply ourselves to make ourselves practice with our coach.
So super class coach. Right. Yeah. So to jump in, and I might want to go back a little bit. Ricky, you can tell me if this is good or not. Golf is the only sport that we play and practice in 2 different arenas, right? The only sport that I've ever played in my life that I've played and practiced in 2 different arenas. We practice in the course, but for the most part we don't, right? How did we get to the stage of the industry where people just not practicing and just playing and accepting to get better? How do we get there? Yeah, and how do we get to that stage where, if you were going to go snowboarding or something, you would train your body a little bit to go snowboarding before you go snowboarding, or you would train a little bit before you play a soccer match. But how do we get to this stage of an industry where people think that they can go play golf and get better just by playing golf?
Well, in other sports, called scrimmage games, right? We have scrimmage
Practice games, right.
Practice games.
The only issue though is in every other sport, taking soccer, if I make a bad pass to forward, he can make an adjustment and go get it and still score. I still look like a hero. In golf, if I hit that ball back and it's out of reach, the ball takes off. It's different. Football. The quarterback throws the ball. If he's off, the receiver can adjust his route and go make a spectacular catch, and the quarterback still looks great. In golf,
Like Nixon Cruz and Bennigan.
I knew that was coming. I thought Michael Breed was sitting in here for a second.
I know.
the guy with that thing, the boss with the catch on their head, that was nonsense. And then,
Sour
what
grapes.
Yeah.